Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2022 found footage horror film, We Found Something. The film is written and directed by Jesse Heisel and it stars Leslie Gladney and Nathan Owen. Right, okay, we are introduced in this film to a brother and sister. We've got Ted and Maxie. Now, Maxie is an accomplished climber. Ted has got a fear of heights, and he wants to overcome this fear. So she agrees, his sister, to kind of take him off into the mountains to try and help him get over this fear of heights. It's an unsuccessful trip. It doesn't work, and on the way kind of back out, he spots an unusual creature on the camera that he can't quite figure out what it is. He manages to convince his sister to come back and check it out, and they are then set upon by a mysterious creature that puts both their lives at risk. Right, what are my thoughts on We Found Something? Well, okay, this is found footage. Those of you who know me know I love found footage. I tend to go through phases with found footage, so I'll not watch any found footage for a few months, and then I'll kind of go a bit mental and like watch every single found footage I can get my hands on for a couple of months. And that sometimes can be problematic because sometimes you'll find hidden gems that you've not seen before, which is very nice. Thank you very much. And then other times you'll find some of the other found footage films that you wouldn't necessarily recommend, and this is kind of one that falls in that category. Now, you can't really throw criticisms at found footage films like, lack of budget and all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, with this one, you kind of can. Now, as soon as this film came on, and I saw it was a Wild Eye release. I'm not going to lie, I almost had the urge to turn it off because Wild Eye releases, I mean, they're films, generally speaking, are really quite poor. And I know I'm generalising there. I'm sure there are some decent ones hidden somewhere in the filmography. But generally speaking, Wild Eye films make the Asylum films look like big budget blockbusters. And, I understand for a filmmaker like Jesse Heisel here, who wants to kind of get a film made, get his name out there, get a film out onto the market. The best way to do that for any new aspiring filmmaker is to do found footage. I mean, even Chris Stuckman has done it for his first film that's coming out next year. The film critic Chris Stuckman, Shelby Oaks, that's going to be a found footage film, which I'm quite excited to see. So even he recognises that it's the best way to do it to get your more bang for your bucks if you're doing a horror film. Found footage all the way, I get it. However, in found footage films, you're supposed to feel like you're there with them, and you feel like there's this bubbling horror and tension going on in the background that you can't just, shake that feeling that something horrible is going to happen. And for a big chunk of this film, you just really get brother and sister interactions that aren't very interesting, and that's an understatement. And the performances aren't what you would describe as like top notch either. I didn't necessarily feel like they were brother and sister, and they were okay as performances, but I was not interested in them as characters, and I was not interested in, the whole build up to this creature. And then we come to this creature, and there's no way around it really. It just looks like a slender guy who's had some like fur stuck to his shoulders and back and legs and arms, and like a rat face made up. It was about as frightening as my Jack Russell dog. The only time this film generated any real, even a modicum of tension, in my opinion, was when there was a scene of this girl inside a tent, this YouTuber or vlogger or whatever she was, who was going out there to kind of film. She's in this tent filming, and you can hear like this growling outside the tent, and then stupidly, she decides to go out. I mean, that's another point I could make. But either way, she decides to go out and have a look. And I guarantee you, if I'd have heard that noise outside my tent, a herd of wild horses wouldn't have got me outside that tent. I'd have stayed in there and, you know, just prayed for my life. But no, she decides to go out and have a look. But that's the only part of the film that I really felt any real tension or any modicum of fear or anything. The rest of the film, it didn't really generate it for me at all. It was kind of poorly constructed and poorly put together, and it felt like there wasn't really a plan here. You know, it felt like, and from my understanding is, you know, this is for the most part completely improvised lines and stuff, and it tells because it's boring. The conversations. You know, you need some kind of direction. Even Blair Witch Project, they had some form of direction. They'd leave notes for them in the morning and stuff, and so they kind of knew what they kind of wanted them to maybe talk about that day, and what direction to walk in, and what they're going to see potentially so here and there. But it just didn't feel like there was a plan here. You know, they were just filming each other, making up dialogue, and reacting to this guy with fake fur plastered all over him. So yeah, I just, it's a shame. I mean, because I love found footage, and I'd love to say that underneath all of this, there is actually quite a fun found footage film, but there really isn't. And I don't want to give you a bum steer, guys. If you're found footage fans, as I am, or if you found a love of found footage from watching my content on the channel, I don't want to, you know, as much as I understand that this is probably made by an amateur filmmaker, and you know, and they've tried the best with everything that they've tried to put on screen, and I do respect and appreciate that. This is not a found footage film that I can really recommend to you guys, because it tries its best to follow the formula, but what it puts on screen isn't exciting, scary, or particularly interesting, unfortunately. So that is my review for We Found Something. I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching. I will, of course, be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.